So glad you could join us today. It's going to be a very busy day in case it hasn't been already. And we're going to be getting the WASDE report, as we mentioned, at noon Eastern time. We'll have live coverage right here. I'll grab the numbers off the printer and share them with you as soon as we can get it all gathered up and collated. Now, let's take a look at what the markets are doing here today after we take a look at some overnight news that had affected the export sales totals a little bit. But it wasn't corn. It wasn't soybeans. It was soybean meal overnight that was sold. And let's take a look at what it was. It was 105,000 tons of soybean meal, and it was sold to unknown destinations. The mystery deepens. We don't know who it was, but anyway, we'll find out eventually. But we appreciate the business. Soybean meal, 105,000 tons sold overnight. Let's see what the grain markets are doing right now. Let's go to the big board and look at the corn. We have turned around and gone lower now. We started two higher, now we're two lower on September. Now we're down to $4.92.5. December down a penny and a half. Right at $5 even right now. It got below it by a couple of ticks. We better get off of that one while we can still say $5. On soybeans, you have August up 11 1/4 right now. We're at 14.82 3/4, and November up 10 3/4 at 13.71. So they're hanging on to most of their gains that they had so far this morning. And on the wheat trade in Chicago wheat, September down 5.5 now at 6.55. Gosh, we're off of our earlier high last night by 7.5 cents at this point. And on Kansas City wheat, we are still higher there. September up 6 3/4. Look at that, 8.23 3/4, and that would put us about 4 cents from our earlier high. Minneapolis wheat, we have that September contract 2 1/4 higher at 8.66 1/4, right in the middle of its trading range. In the cotton in December, we're now trading 76 points higher at 82.88 per pound. We have Todd Bubba Horwitz of BubbaTrading.com in Las Vegas with us on the line. Todd, thanks for joining us here today. It's going to be a busy day with all the U.S. government data flying around. So what do you think of this setup as the market heads into that report, and how would you rate the performance here?
Based on the trade amount, I think that the markets are confused as to what this number is going to be. I think they felt they had a pretty good handle on Monday with the rally, and now they're not sure. Look, I think that with the CPI number that came out this morning, which was to me, I can't use the words here, but you know what I think of it. They're telling us about that inflation is coming down, which is ridiculous. The only thing that's coming down is the cost that farmers can get for their grains, and that's not a good situation when we look at what the input costs, because the inputs continue to go higher. So it's a pretty ugly picture, and I think it shows the true weakness of the economy.
One thing about it, I wanted to show the U.S. dollar index right now that could be having an impact here on the commodities somewhat. Let's take a look at what the deal is right now. September U.S. dollar index futures, Todd, down 1,023 points right now at 100.380. Is that going to help the grains at all or not?
Well, the correlation doesn't always work day for day. And certainly right now it's not helping the grains because the grains are still lower. I think if it continues, it could help later. But again, remember the correlation of the dollar to the commodity market is not always immediate, and sometimes the movement has already been pre-priced in. And that would be my take of it here, that they've already expected the dollar to drop, and it still has not helped the commodity space.
Interesting stuff. Also on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, let's see what the equity markets are doing after the CPI numbers. Well, it's up 285 points on September. We're at 34,749. Also wanted to point out on the crude oil market, it was gaining today. The August contract up $1.10 at 75.93. Would that be supportive to the grains like soy oil, corn? What do you think?
You would think it would be, but again, here we're not seeing it. This, to me, the oil rally is nothing more than a little bit of a short covering when they push it down too fast. It is really a sign of the overall weakness in the economy that, unfortunately, our representatives keep refusing to admit that we have a major weakness here, because you look at the cut in production of Saudi Arabia twice, and yet oil is still well down from where it used to be.
And gold is sharply higher. August up $25.90 at we'll call it 1963 an ounce. All right, after the report comes out at noon Eastern time, what's the trade going to focus on, Todd?
Well, I think they're going to try to figure out what the numbers are, but I think what you'll see first is a big jerk reaction to the number. I would assume that whatever the number is, wherever it goes, to take the opposite side of where if they extend in one direction or the other, I'd be looking to take the opposite side of that trade.
Okay. Thank you, Todd, for all the insight into the markets today. I appreciate that very much. Todd Bubba Horwitz at BubbaTrading.com. He's in Las Vegas. We'll come back in just a moment. We'll take a look at some livestock numbers, including wholesale pork trade.